you're very open within your social media. You talk about your experience, you travel, you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But you put something on your story, I think it was last night. You spoke about how you've had to slightly change, I can't remember off the top of my head, your psychology to become a CEO because of what you have to do, not just for yourself, but increasing, I would presume this was to do with increasing the size of your team, like how you actually mentor them.
Yeah.
And in the same sort of question, you talk about value, you talk about working so hard. How do you hire people? Because on one side, what you've built is you've got a lot of people, but you've got a very close-knit people. Like I've spoke to some of your team here. Like, how do you find the right team? Because finding the right people, it's a skill in itself.
So young, hardworking.
Okay, so this is.
Sorry, it's very open-ended.
No. I don't mind it. It's fine. I love psychology. I love reasons why people do stuff. When you're building a business that is very different to everyone else, you can't just go out and hire people.
Yeah.
To deliver a service. They have to believe in it. I can't force someone to believe in it. So the only way I know whether or not they believe in it is if they approach us. If they approach us and they see what we're doing, because this is the wonderful thing about this world, is that what you put out over the internet and in person when you meet people, so physically and digitally, you'll see what you get back. Almost everybody in this business has approached us to be in it. And I'm unbelievably proud because everyone that you meet, the base camp guys and girls, are here till 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Not because I asked them to be here. I want them going home at 6 o'clock. Yeah, I want them home. Go out and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
They choose to work here because they're empowered. They know that it's more meaningful. It's not just a job. They are evolutionizing an industry. I've got Claudia, who's 23 or 24. She's number 6 in the business. She'll be able to tell everybody about her story working here, evolutionizing what is one of the oldest industries on the planet, the most established industry on the planet, probably here in London. And Claude's is making that happen. That's what's great about this business.
That's so cool. The fact that you've actually been able to create that, to be allowed to do that, because any other estate agent or any other firm or anything, they haven't put themselves out there. So they haven't given people the actual visual to be able to see them, to actually know them that much. So that means people won't always approach them. You've literally plastered yourself everywhere in the best way possible, in such a professional manner and clever way.
Shown that it's possible.
Now people will come to you. They will actually
Well, we
find
hope
you.
so, right?
Yeah.
We hope so. The thing about it is when I started to produce content, a bit like your problem, everyone thought you were a maniac
Yeah.
and an egotistical warrior.
Yeah.
I haven't changed, and everyone now thinks I'm a
still am
genius.
both of them.
and everyone thinks I'm a genius. So it's not me that's changed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
perception
Yeah.
over the reality that's changed. When hiring advisors, this is a great way. If you're in a sales business, is a nice tip for anybody that's interviewing people. I would ask you to tell me, you can't reference any of your friends or family, so don't think about any of those people, but I would ask you to tell me a fictional story. Go. Tell me a fictional story.
About selling a property.
No, just in general. Once upon a time,
There was a little boy. He was dyslexic. I've already told my own story. I can't do it. I'm out.
right.
I'm in a different story.
I'll tell you why I do this. In sales, it's really tricky. It's really tricky to do this. But in sales and marketing, you often have to tell somebody something whilst thinking about what you're going to say next.
Yep.
So your brain has to work in 2 motions. And you have to be able to read somebody as you're telling them something, but continue to recognize that you need to go to another destination and how you're going to get there. Asking someone to tell you a fictional story gets me the opportunity to see how creative someone can be.
Yeah.
Okay, with their thinking. It's difficult now on a podcast, super difficult.
I was about to tell a story about a cow, to be fair. I wasn't even joking. I'd created a whole story in my head.
Yeah, you had steak last night, didn't you? You had steak last night.
Curtis would be on a monologue.
I genuinely had thought of some like Hansel and Gretel style cow story.
And then he sold sand to the Arabs. That's Curtis for you.
I love that. So this is one of the ways that I will truly understand if someone is good in sales and marketing. Otherwise, there are other ways of doing it, and I really want to get to know people, their drivers. We've all got drivers. We've all got reasons why we're doing things, and understanding what those core reasons are will give you a good impression as to whether or not that person is going to be successful. It may be perceived as arrogant, but I can sit in front of somebody and I can tell whether or not that person is going to be successful.
So, what do you think of us two?
You're already successful, guys.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Okay, I want to talk about some things. Like, a house is usually the largest, well, for most people, the biggest asset they'll ever hold. They'll ever.
100%.
It's a life choice, and sometimes people don't even get the opportunity to even get in that position.
Yeah.
How do you think, talking more so about London, maybe rather than the wider picture in the UK, like as an investment, London itself, most of people come into London these days, seeing these flats, it's an obscene amount of money for the standard living wage at the minute. What do you think London is in the next 10, 20 years as an investment, seeing the way it's moving forward? It's got such a long history, but everything moves so quickly these days.
Okay, it's a difficult question to answer. Okay, I would say that London is a safe investment.
Yeah.
But it depends on what your life is going to look like and what you want from your life. We've been born and raised in the UK, and the thing about being born and raised in the UK is you've got to get on the property ladder.
Yeah.
If you're born and raised in Germany, 60 or 70% of the people there rent.
Yeah.
So we have this sort of...
Denmark is even, I think it's even higher, isn't
right,
it? It's crazy.
So we have this thing that is sort of inbred where we have to buy real estate.
Yeah. Own land. And,
So true, actually.
Right, we have to buy real estate. Now, it may not be the best time to buy real estate. It may not be the best time in the market. It may not be the best time with your financial exposure, whether or not you're going to get a job or not going to get a job, or safe in the job, or independent, and your income's, improving or not improving. You have to think about this as a sort of...
It's a lifestyle choice one way.
It's an everything choice. You really have to be very sensible at whether or not you're making that commitment, because when you buy a property, you make a commitment to living in it. And if not, you're not going to live in it. You're going to rent it out. Well, what form of financing are you going to get? And is the cost of financing going to go up? And what sort of yield will you get by your rental income? And what's the cost of maintenance? And will you be able to service it? Is bank and mum and dad helping you? All these things. Is your job legit? Are you going to be in that job? People think that but working in a company, they have independence.
Yeah.
Like they're safe. You are not safe if you're working for somebody.
Yeah.
It's very simple. If their business doesn't do particularly well, or if they don't like you, you're not there tomorrow.
And that's the one thing from COVID. Like, that's the one takeaway from that is, like, nothing's guaranteed, nothing's safe.
Correct. So what I say to people here is, I want you to be phenomenally independent. And the way you do that is by being an expert in your field and being financially wise. One of the guys that works with me when we first met, he had big debt. And I said to him, if you're working with me, you're selling all the stuff you don't need. Your Louis Vuitton bag, your watch, all this stuff that you don't need, you wipe out your credit card debt. Otherwise, you're not working with me.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And then he built his career.
But I do always find if you can get on top of your finances, if, for example, if you're not already, try writing down just what you spend each day just so you're aware of it. It will change the way you live your life. It will make you more aware of everything you can and can't do in life.
Value
and it makes you,
things.
And it makes you understand then what you can do as a person at this point in your life.
And so when you're doing that, you have to be financially aware of the commitment you're making when you're buying real estate.
Yeah.
Is real estate a good... is it a good asset to own? Yes. Is it a safe asset to own? Yes. If you look at other things you can own that can fluctuate in value, real estate in London doesn't fluctuate that much.
Crypto.
In comparison. Crypto. 1 minute you're a legend, the next minute you're a fool. So it's really tricky. What I would say to you is that the idea of buying real estate is one that we should all have. Okay? Owning an asset is something we should all have because we can then leverage against it and create more opportunities. But It depends on your personal circumstances. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is where people have to be very self-aware about their personality, their drivers, where they're going to be in their lives. Are they going to continuously make the money that they're making now? Are they self-aware enough to know this? And are they making their own money? Are they in charge?
Yeah.
Then you choose whether or not you should buy real estate, and you choose where to buy real estate, and you take advice, and then hopefully you're successful.
But out of everywhere in England, you would say London is possibly one of the safer bets if you can afford to get a place.
Yeah, London is a safe bet because it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a lack of supply in London, and we have high demand. I can't see that changing drastically. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people during COVID moved out and they bought places in the country.
In the country.
And that was wise at the time because people really wanted to have outside space and enjoy themselves, and there was an element of romance around it. But what happens is when that demand starts to slow, then you start looking at values there. Can people still achieve the pricing? Everything is about supply and demand and what the waves and which way the waves are going. But one thing you do know is that London is a financial hub. There's lots of opportunity, lots of talent, lots of entertainment, and so people are always going to want to be here.
So talking about kind of information and that education, where do you find your education from on a wider picture? Because the world has become so small in one aspect now that especially your clientele within that 0.001%, it's not just like I have a hub here. I have multiple hubs in all of the destinations for the traveling circus, as I like to say. They go to the arts fair in Miami.
You talk about the ultra high net worth.
The ultra high
yes,
net
their
worth
social calendar
is it's very different.
Where's
to
the
normal
F1?
people.
Where's the fashion show?
Literally. Where do you get that information from? Do you get that from other people like yourselves within them markets that live there? Or do you yourself travel, go out there, see it for yourself?
Okay. It's a great question because I'm like most people. I wasn't born into it.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn it. How do you learn anything? You expose yourself to it.
Yeah.
But I was the guy who stood on the side of the people who knew what they were doing, and I didn't say anything. So I would turn up, make sure I dressed well, and I looked the part, and I listened. And that's all I did, is I listened for probably a decade and a half. I went to the boat show.
You were a fly on the wall.
Yeah. I went to the art exhibitions, and I went with people that had the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I learned from them. And all you need to do is learn this much of multiple subjects. And then you have an anchor conversation. And then you start bleeding your way into that process and understanding things a bit more and recognizing that you can learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the ultra high net worth community and where they're going, you go and commit. I wasn't earning a huge sum of money. I mean, it was a lot of money in comparison to everybody else, but for what I did, I wasn't earning a huge sum of money. And what I did is, instead of buying a super nice car, I drove the corporate smart car. Yeah, I drove the corporate smart car for a year and a half, and I saved my money, and I spent that money on traveling.
Kurt's laughing because the other day I said, I can't be bothered to get a big new car. I think I'm just going to buy a little Vespa and just be much easier. I get around London quicker.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about parking. Mm-hmm. It's easy.
I thought of a great little YouTube video we could get two little bikes, say we get them sent over to us. AJ,
Why not?
Got a CBT, it'd be a great.
Why not?
Yeah.
I had there was a young woman that I worked with called Jade in my previous business, and I was about 32 at the time, and I was doing well. I was doing really well. And we were working in the same department. She was there to sort of run beside me. And we had a bit of a Barney in the office. And she said, "What the do you know? You haven't been anywhere." And bearing in mind that up until the age of 18, I'd been to Paris once.
Yeah.
And our family home in the Middle East. That was it. I hadn't been anywhere.
Yeah.
I hadn't been anywhere. I'd been to Cornwall and Bath.
Cornwall's
And there's
lovely.
nothing wrong with Cornwall and Bath, by the way.
Yeah. Cornwall's got some expensive properties now, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I hadn't been anywhere.
Yeah.
And she was right.
Yeah.
So what I did is I said, I'm going to drive this smart car for a couple of years. I'm going to save my money. And now I'm going to travel. And I put my hand up for a role in my previous business as the US ambassador. And I got that role. I mean, I was the perfect fit for it because I've got quite a US attitude to business.
Yeah.
And I traveled the world. I went to Baku in Azerbaijan. I went to Moscow. I went to Kiev. I went to Sydney. I went to, all on business. I went to the south of France. I went to Italy. I went to the US, New York, LA, Miami. And I learned.
This is basically doing what you did as a kid, private school to the other end.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all of that.
All around.
And I'm sacrificing. I put on loads of weight. I was all over the place whilst trying to continue my business in the UK. But I learned. And now I can speak about multiple things. And when I'm at the dinner table with lots of other people and they start talking about where have they been, what's exotic, so on and so on. And I say, well, I've been to Baku. I went there 15 years ago or 10 years ago. And they're all like, what was that like? And I was like, well, I was picked up by a chauffeur and I could smell a funny smell. Didn't know what it was. And I asked the driver and he said, wind down the windows. And you wind down the windows. And on the route from the airport, which at the time was a bit ramshackle, to the city, which was lit up like a Christmas tree, on the route down, I wound the window down and you could see the oil fields. And I could smell oil. That's what I could smell. Now, very few people have that experience. You can read it and you can watch it on YouTube, but having the experience is totally different.
You don't know,
So I was prepared to sacrifice the image of I'm successful to go out and learn. And then obviously at 17, 18, I was traveling a bit more with the boys. We went to Amsterdam and then there was the stags. And so I've been to every Eastern European country on the planet kind of thing. And you learn a little bit more about the world. That experience has educated me more than a nice car will.
Yeah. So you just said, actually, I'm jumping a bit here, but you were like, you struggled then with a little bit with your weight, your actual health and stuff because you were going around so much. How do you actually manage that now as a CEO, very successful, doing loads of work constantly? You're in a blooming business call right before us here. Yeah. Like you are non-stop. How do you manage all of that
dinners,
now?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of work dinners.
So
there's a lot of alcohol.
Actually, believe it or not, I don't really do client entertainment. I've never done client entertainment.
Fair enough.
Like other people do. Some people have got that job to do client entertainment. What I wanted to do, and you might say it's a little bit egotistical, but I wanted to be so good that people came to me.
No, I think that makes sense completely. Okay.
And then when you get into the sphere of influence that I sit in now, what happens is the best people in the world refer business to one another. Yeah. Not because I've taken them out for dinner, but because they know their clients are going to get looked after by someone who's done the job. And that's what happens at the top. And yes, people go out and they're entertained and they're doing this and they're doing that and they're going to the luxury boat show and all that sort of stuff. That's absolutely fine. But now you can do it digitally.
That's my biggest fear. If I recommend somebody, or
of course
we got a very good friend wanted a magician for a birthday. 6 of them sat down private late at night. And I was so stressed.
Did that all go to plan? Who I sorted it out?
Went beyond, and the magician was very happy with the tip as well. But I was so stressed. And because when you recommend something that's come, it's like your name 100%. Being added to that. And it's a really scary, weird, surreal moment because at least if I know I'm turning up to do a job, I know I'm going to do it perfect. But when it's somebody else, you're like, okay,
I believe he's a good magician that I did get. I found someone very good.
He was very good. I'll give it to him. Yeah, he's got a good show as well.
So I coined a term, right, which is trust equity.
I've wrote that's in my notes.
It
is. I was going to bring it up.
Okay. Trust equity, I think is a good time to talk about it. Trust equity is when you refer somebody to me. You've created trust with that person and that person's asked you for some advice. You're now, with that trust that you've created, you're now passing that trust on to me when you refer them to me. If I do something bad or wrong, or I misrepresent you and the client, it's going to impact the trust that you have with the client.
Yeah.
This is how life works. Just no one coined it that way. No one told me as a kid, this is how it works. All I knew as a kid was just do the best you possibly can. I didn't realize that if you do the best you possibly can, other people will tell people to do business with you because they trust you, like you, and respect you. They're the 3 words that I use in our business. This is how the world works, everybody. Everything is about trust equity. When I refer somebody to somebody, I am passing the trust that I have earned with that client or that customer or that friend to you. You need to look after them.
Yeah.
Right? And you will do everything you possibly can to do that, because the relationship that we have is extremely valuable, because I know multiple people that you would like to be put in front of. That's what it's all about. It's all about trust, like, and respect, and the trust equity that you create with the people around you.
That sounds very simple. That's very clean how you've just put that. I love that.
I wish more people valued that one sentence, because I feel like people, the trust side, they ask it. There's a time and a place for a lot of things, but sometimes people just kind of feel like they take and take and take, and rather than ever giving back. And I think that's something really hard. Like both, I feel like Curtis and Dan, you both like to say make everybody happy, but you learn them boundaries and barriers before you can actually say, like, actually, no, that's not the right moment now, or that's not the this is not the appropriate time.
Yeah, you sometimes definitely get used every now and again, and then you realise, oh, actually, no, I need to
Well, if that
change the
person
way
does
I
it
do
multiple times, you now know where you stand with that person, and you can create your boundaries, and you know where you sit. The trickiest thing for young people is, how do I create trust amongst people around me? And they think it's by doing massive things, you know, like rescuing a woman who's getting mugged on the street kind of thing. Now that person trusts me.
Be truthful in what you're doing.
Yeah, be truthful, 100%. Always be truthful. But consistency creates trust. Okay? Creating content on social media channels. Consistency creates trust. The smallest thing creates trust, not the biggest thing. If you call me or you send me a message saying, I need your help, me coming back to you very quickly is creating a lot of trust equity, because you know that I am there for you.
Yeah.
All these little things make a difference when people make decisions about acquiring a property, which is the biggest investment they'll probably ever make in their lives. If people focused on creating trust and respect and likability, they will be phenomenally successful whatever they do. It's just learning how to do that.
I suppose you've got any great books to read that regarding psychology and things like that?
No,
just from listening?
I haven't. Everything I've done has been out of experience.
Yeah.
I struggle to read.
Yeah. Same.
I'm self-diagnosed dyslexic. I used to read backwards.
Oh, we're a bunch of dyslexics then.
Yeah. It's a superpower. I love it. I see things that other people don't see.
We see things in a different light, a different manner, and really approaching the things that, as you said, that trust equity, things that we would value much higher than other people, I feel like, is because that some of the things that we'd find harder is kind of like, well, we don't do that so well, so we know what we do good, and we really hone in on the good things.
You focus on it. I created a course for people who want to become real estate advisors.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this course available now?
Yeah, it's available online. Yeah. We've just hyped it up. I've brought in the King's lawyers onto the training program, and a couple of other people that I'm fortunate enough to work with. Yeah. That people of any background can now tap into. Yeah. And understand how it works more, because I think access is the tricky part. I want to give access where I can. Is this sort of
a legacy feeling for you, being able to offer?
Everything's about legacy.
Everything, yeah.
Everything is about legacy. Everything that I do is about legacy. I'm a super simple man. Super simple man. I just want to create more opportunity for more people and do it by being
delivering value.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And open up as much as we possibly can, but keep things private that need to be kept private. Yeah, because that's my role. Access to information. For instance, I've been an agent for 25 years. Do you know how many people taught me how to show property?
Probably not very many properly, I'd say.
No one.
Yeah.
No one has actually taught me how to show property. Not one person.
Quite a big flaw in the whole industry there.
How many people have taught me or trained me to be an agent here in the UK? Actually trained me. How many hours of training?
Your own mistakes would be your own training, like on the go, I would presume.
In my working life, I think I've probably had 12 hours worth of training.
Yeah.
All the lessons that I've learned. So, for instance, I remember when I was
Your mom's literally the training, the emphasis of
can't rely on my mum to teach me how to sell real estate and show
the value
real estate.
of how you
Correct.
approach.
And how to think outside the box and all
Yeah,
of
think
these
outside the
things.
box, but it's also like the basics. For instance, I remember when I was 19 and I had to introduce myself to a woman in a burqa.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew that I couldn't shake her hand, but how am I going to make her feel comfortable?
Yeah.
All these little things. How do you show a property? You go abroad, the agents are taught. You need a license. They're taught hours. There's 100 hours worth of teachings. There's nothing here. There's very, very little.
I know we spoke before on camera, like for us with FINT Financial Education app, well, we're launching, like education is the underlying thing, creating trust. The irony of Freedomimpact Trust, the podcast, the name of this, is actually the 3 pillars that we really stand upon for that app, because we feel like it's sad if somebody makes a mistake, but they're never, it's not their fault if they're making a mistake because they've never been taught it. So,
Yeah.
But why they're not taught it? Because yourself, someone like you, has had to take the step to do it. Or someone like us is like, okay, we want to create an educational course. We'll give it to the schools for free. We don't care. We feel like people deserve to have that.
It's generational. It's generational. I find myself in a very unique moment in my life where I've seen the older generation do their thing, and now I see the younger generation coming in. And I sort of straddle the two.
Yeah.
I have very interesting conversation with people that I would never share publicly, where I get good insight. Most people who are older that were successful were thinking about how to be more successful.
Yeah.
Young people want to be successful out of helping other people. It was never that was never the business model didn't work that way. We've got a nice thing that we do here about how we explain our business model in comparison to everyone else. I'm in a place in my life where I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be successful in the right way. But I also feel that there's plenty of opportunity for me. I never feel that anyone's taking anything away from me.
Yeah.
And so I feel comfortable to give everybody else the lessons that I've learned and the tips and tricks and whatever it may be to support the next generation to be successful in themselves, because that's what I want. You guys in the next generation, you're doing it at a younger age. You'll have a different perspective over doing the same thing but in your own way. And that's great. As long as you're having a positive impact on the world, that is great.
I always find teaching somebody something always has a positive impact on yourself, though.
You feel so great.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's an element of being selfish about it, right?
100%.
Because like, I'm helping you, but I love it.
I do nice things for other people because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm not selfish about
you
it.
You spoke about with what was I can't remember the word that you used. The value of giving back from your culture was just so much more than you can't expect anything back from it. But that's not the point of it. It makes you feel good to give back, whether it be to charities and most people we always do stuff. We love working with charities. We're always working with charities. Like we don't ever ask for anything back. It's not about that. It's just about giving our time. Like at the minute we can't give money, but we can give our time. We can give our value because that's the best thing and most rewarding thing. It's an exhausting day usually, but it's the best form of exhaustion.
No, we do
you
loads of
can ever have.
charities. I love it. I love doing things
That's
like
great.
that. Actually, yeah.
It's it's like soulful.
Oh yeah.
You feel great about it.
And it makes you realize actually how lucky you are sometimes. You know,
Yes.
it actually puts things in perspective. It really, really
Sometimes
does.
you need that.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Sometimes you need that. You get so carried away with what you're trying to achieve that you forget about other stuff.
Yeah,
It is.
it's like I was gonna say it's like a palate cleanser. It's a clarity.
Yeah.
It really puts life back into perspective.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. That was Freedomimpact Trust. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've loved chatting once again. Please leave a comment below because it really helps the algorithm and helps get the podcast out there. And also, let us know if there's any financial questions which you want answering and we can answer them in the pod next week. Like I said, share, like, comment, subscribe, and let everybody know about the podcast.
And thank you to our sponsors, FINT, the financial investment app, where you can invest from as little as £50 a month.
£50?
Yes, £50, Kurs.
Oh, wow, it's an absolute bargain. And don't forget, it's through 3 different portfolios. So choose the one that you like and get investing.
Have a great day.
See you later, guys.